Hello all. Alright. Still have my cold, but we're going to do a video anyway, because there's been nothing but good news lately after all this bad news. The best news yet is that once again I was put on jury duty. I finally got off of it, and I am so glad. I just can't tell you the hell that is. Just the amount of hours that you have to sit and wait for something to happen. And then they say, well, we're going to take a break now. Be back in 2 hours. To go and sit some more and do nothing. Waiting for a jury to try and pick you to put on a pool. Watching endless propaganda films about the U.S. while you wait for days on end. I'm over that. I have another year before that comes around. Or maybe even longer. It's about every year and a half for me. I'm so sick of it. But it's over. It's one of the most hated things in big cities is the jury duty. Because once you get on that, you can just sit in that pool and go round and round and round, and there's nothing you can do about it. But forget about all that. Let's go over to the board and let me do something today that I haven't done in some time because people can't stand it. But for those that really want to try and solve some problems, let me do some thinking on the board. And you guys join in. And please, I already know it's not going to work and never will happen. But let's entertain me anyway. Entertain me. That doesn't sound quite right. So I often wonder what would happen if you were the president of the U.S. and you were legally put there with the proper votes, no shenanigans, a real presidential election. So I just put myself there just because that's the only person I know. So what would I do about trying to fix the problem with nations fighting each other? So what I've done is simplified it by putting it into rectangles and boxes, whatever you want. So here's some of the bigger countries, and then here's the very smallest one. I don't consider Vatican City a country. So how could we keep ourselves from getting into so much arguments? And it's not because of the people, it's because of the leaders. There's 195 countries, so that means 195 leaders. So what would happen if instead of fighting each other, we started helping each other by a new way of revenue? Each country had to put their own personal taxes. Each individual, each business, and each corporation would put their money into another country. They could never put it in the same country each year. They would have to change countries every year until they go through the whole 195, which would only be corporations and companies that would do that. They could then come around and pick whoever they wanted and continue on. So the idea is that each individual person would have to send their revenue to another country. So they may choose over here. And this country may choose the UK, right? So a lot of these may go ahead and put their revenue this way, right? Or maybe some would go ahead and put their revenue in a very small country. Or if you're China, you may want to put yours into the neighboring country. Or the neighboring country may want to put it in China. The advantage here is instead of fighting each other, you'd be trying to show how great each country is and how generous they are to each person. So, in other words, if you send us your revenue, we'll put it for health care, right? Instead of the military-industrial complex. So in other words, schools, healthcare, science, biology, higher education, infrastructure, all that would be what each country would push for, so that each person would put their money into that country because they're using their revenue to help that country. So there you go, economics. Another idea is a universal currency, with each country printing their own designs on the currency. But a dollar in one country or a yen in one country is a yen in another. But it's all the same numbers. We just call it something different in each country. but the value is the same. So you could literally spend another country's money in your country and it would have the same value. So you would have all the disadvantages gone from different currency values. They're all the same. I know that a lot of people will say, oh, how stupid, can't work. The system we have is the only way. I've already heard all that. Tell me how it can work. This is just an idea. Branch off of it. See what you can do. One more piece of fun for today. You live in a one-room world where the only window and information to the outside is a scene of either trees or sky. You get to choose between those two. Which one would you choose? As my voice is going away, I appreciate all the comments down below and the ups and the downs, and we'll get right back to the environmental depressing news next video. But this video, let's try something more in the progressive means. Until next time.